what if the exact thing making you so burned out at work or, just so exhausted in your relationships isn't your schedule at all?
Right.
What if the root of the problem is actually your fundamental understanding of the word I?
I mean, it's a really radical question.
Yeah.
And it completely flips how we usually diagnose our own exhaustion.
Yeah.
Because we tend to blame external factors, right? Like the inbox, the commute, the demands of other people.
Oh, absolutely. The calendar is always the enemy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the real weight might be, well, entirely internal.
Right. And today we are jumping into a fascinating collection of translated spiritual essays, specifically focusing on a piece titled The Vertical Leap from Ego to Universal Compassion.
Yeah, it's a great text.
It really is. We're basically bringing together ancient mystical traditions, primarily classical Sufism, and applying them directly to the chaotic, hyper-connected reality we all live in today.
Right, which is so needed. So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how to shed that heavy, exhausting burden of the ego and, find a genuinely lighter way of moving through the world.
Which is easier said than done.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But to even start that process, we have to look at how we perceive time. There's this firm premise laid out right at the beginning, which is that human spiritual growth can only happen in the vibrant present moment.
Yeah, the underlying philosophy here takes direct aim at our habit of mental time travel.
Mental time travel, right.
Think about how much of your day is spent either dragging the luggage of yesterday around or, staring through the binoculars of tomorrow.
So true.
No, the author doesn't suggest amnesia or anything. I mean, the past provides necessary roots.
Right.
And the future provides necessary direction. You have to know where you're walking.
Yeah, you can't just wander aimlessly.
Exactly.
Right.
But there is a massive difference between having direction and the total, scattering of the mind.
Right.
If your consciousness is scattered across a decade of old regrets and, a decade of hypothetical anxieties.
Which most of us are doing constantly.
Right. You are entirely absent from the only place where reality actually functions.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's unpack this because I feel like we hear live in the present on coffee mugs all the time.
Right. It's a huge cliche.
It is. But this source gets highly specific about what that actually entails. It's not about sitting cross-legged in a trance and ignoring your responsibilities.
Yeah, no, not at all.
It's deeply practical. It's about offering a helping arm to an elderly person right now. It's listening to a child's rambling story with actual patience, right now.
Yes, the immediacy.
Right. It's inhaling the scent of a flower or recognizing a truth in this exact second. You cannot physically help someone in the year 2018.
Right.
And you cannot smell a rose in the year 2030.
Exactly. The immediacy of action is the whole point. We treat personal growth like it's this strategic master plan mapped out on a giant mental whiteboard.
Yeah, with color-coded markers.
Totally. But growth is an organic process that only reacts to immediate stimuli.
To me, living in the past or the future while you are actively trying to improve yourself is, it's like trying to water the concept of a garden rather than the actual plant sitting in front of you.
Oh, I love that.
Right, imagine sitting on your porch, obsessively analyzing past harvests, stressing over future droughts, visualizing this perfect botanical layout in your mind.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the actual tomatoes right at your feet are shriveling up in the dirt because you aren't paying attention to them. You're pouring all your hydration into an abstraction.
That analogy captures the mechanism perfectly. Because an abstraction cannot grow.
Exactly.
Only the living, breathing reality in front of you can absorb water. And, if we accept that we have to water the plants right in front of us, we inevitably have to look at the people standing in our garden.
Right.
How do we interact with them in this pure present? The philosophy takes a very sharp, almost counterintuitive pivot here. It examines our relationships and takes aim at something we universally consider to be a positive force.
Love.
Yes.
Which feels a bit controversial. I mean, how can love pull us out of the present moment?
Well, because human love, in its raw, unfiltered form, is almost never just love.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
It usually carries this heavy layer of hidden conditions. The source material uses a really striking phrase for this. It calls it a horizontal tribulation.
Horizontal tribulation.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a medieval torture device.
It really does.
But it's actually a pretty accurate description of modern dating or even just complex friendship.
Oh, it really is. A horizontal tribulation basically describes the painful friction of two egos moving on the same earthly plane, constantly bumping into each other's demands.
Right.
Subconsciously, when we love someone, there's this secret desire for possession or recognition or a return on investment.
Like keeping score.
Exactly. Becomes a ledger. Like, I supported you through this hard time, so you owe me a specific type of affection. Or, I texted first the last 3 times, so now I'm going to pull back until you prove you care.
We've all been there.
Right. And because no one can perfectly meet those hidden expectations all the time, egos inevitably clash. It's a completely transactional bond.
So if horizontal love is just this exhausting clash of egos keeping score, there has to be a way out that doesn't involve, just moving to the woods and ignoring humanity.
Right, which isn't practical.
Yeah. And this introduces the major contrast in the text, compassion. But it defines compassion as the distilled, purified, selfless state of love.
Yes.
It's what you get when you boil love down and completely burn off the possessiveness and the expectations.
Because when you remove the expectation of return, there is no other to conquer or possess.
Oh, that's interesting.
And because nothing is being demanded, your ego has no ground to shatter on when the other person inevitably acts like a flawed human being.
Right.
The imagery used to describe this serene stillness is just beautiful. It's compared to the gaze of a mother upon her child.
Yep.
I mean, she isn't calculating what the infant can do for her career or her ego, right? She simply loves that the child exists.
Exactly.
Or it's a sage observing the universe, just witnessing its beauty without demanding the universe conform to their personal wishes.
There is a couplet in the notes that really anchors this idea. It says, "We love the created for the sake of the creator."
Yes.
Which is such a profound way to reset your expectations. You are no longer loving someone to extract validation from them.
Right.
You're loving them because they are a reflection of a higher reality.
And by resetting those expectations, you escape those painful horizontal labyrinths of transaction, and you make what the author calls a vertical leap.
A vertical leap.
Yeah, you bypass the ego clash entirely.
Okay, but I'm struggling to see how this plays out practically without just becoming a doormat.
That's a fair point.
Right. Because if I completely remove the desire for reciprocation from my relationships, doesn't love just become really passive? Like if my partner or my friend is treating me poorly, and I just say, well, I require nothing, I am in a state of pure compassion, aren't I just letting people walk all over me?
Yeah, and it's a crucial distinction to make here. Passivity and true compassion are entirely different psychological states.
Okay.
Letting people walk all over you is actually still an ego-driven dynamic.
Wait, really?
It's just the ego playing the role of the martyr or the victim.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right? It still relies on the other person for a sense of identity. The vertical leap of compassion is an intensely active and powerful state.
Okay.
The text describes a person who has achieved this as a pure mirror of mercy. Mm-hmm. When you operate as a pure mirror, you are coming from a place of profound inner strength.
So it's not weakness at all?
Not at all. You set boundaries not out of petty retaliation, but out of respect for yourself and the other person. You don't demand reciprocation because you don't need their validation to feel complete.
Right. Your sense of self is no longer fragile.
Exactly.
So if the ultimate goal is to become this pure mirror of mercy, whole and unshakable, we have to look at what is currently throwing a wrench in that process.
Right.
Like, why aren't we all walking around as pure mirrors? And the culprit identified here is our fundamental misunderstanding of the self, or what the text calls the antec, the capacity to say, I.
What's fascinating here is how the concept of the ego is approached in this tradition.
Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of modern self-help, the ego is treated as this inherent evil that must be, like, destroyed or starved.
Right. Kill the ego.
Exactly. But the classical mystical view suggests the ego is simply misunderstood and misused.
Okay.
When we misunderstand our ego, it becomes a heavy, dense center. It imagines it's entirely self-sufficient, and it revolves endlessly around itself, dragging us down into anxiety.
Yeah.
But when it is rightly positioned, the ego is merely a unit of measure. It's a signpost. It is meant to be a transparent window opening toward truth.
There's an incredible analogy of sunlight and a piece of glass to explain this mechanism.
Yes, I love this one.
Imagine a brilliant ray of sunlight falling on a glass window. If that glass somehow gained consciousness and arrogantly imagined that the light belonged entirely to itself.
Like it created the sunbeam.
Right, that is the literal source of the sunbeam.
Yeah.
The glass would darken. It would become opaque and heavy. But if the glass recognizes the actual sun as the source and itself merely as the conduit, it becomes transparent. It turns into a passageway for the light to shine through to the rest of the room.
And the parallel to human psychology is direct. The more a person attributes their beauty, their talent, their mercy, or, their intelligence solely to their own inherent greatness, the heavier they become.
Right.
They are the darkened glass, basically trying to hold on to something they didn't create.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Well, sorry, let me rephrase that. This is where it gets really fascinating, because if we bring this into our current technology-obsessed world, attributing all your abilities to yourself is like your smartphone claiming it personally generated the entire internet.
That is a highly effective way to visualize the absurdity of it.
Right. Imagine your phone acting arrogant because it loaded a complex web page.
Yeah.
It's sitting on a table saying, look at this high-definition 4K video I just willed into existence from my own sheer brilliance. I demand an award.
That's hilarious.
But the phone didn't create the video. It is just a receiver. It has hardware designed to catch signals from massive servers thousands of miles away.
Exactly.
If that little smartphone actually had to generate, process, and store the entire internet all by itself, it would instantly overheat, the battery would fry, and the phone would self-destruct.
Yeah.
The source material says essentially the same thing about us. The finite cannot bear infinity.
The finite cannot bear infinity. That perfectly encapsulates the root of modern exhaustion.
That really does.
We are finite creatures trying to hold an infinite weight with our own two hands. We claim total ownership over our intelligence or our success, which means we also have to claim total ownership over our failures and all the uncontrollable variables of the universe.
Which is terrifying.
It overheats our mental circuitry. But when you shift your perspective and see every glimmer of talent as a reflection of a greater source, the refinement of the self begins.
Yeah.
You stop taking all the credit, which means you finally get to stop carrying all the crushing pressure.
Which brings to mind the second couplet from the essays. What you call self is but a mirror turned toward the real. When light is claimed as one's own, the soul remains concealed in shadow.
Such a powerful image.
Okay, so if I'm a smartphone that needs to stop pretending I'm the Wi-Fi router, how does that realization change what I actually do tomorrow morning?
Right.
Seeing the self as a mirror rather than the absolute source has to be more than just an internal, philosophical comfort. How does this translate to our external actions, especially in our careers?
It establishes an entirely new ethical framework for daily life. The philosophy introduces the ethics of the trustee.
The trustee, okay.
Yeah. When your ego is transparent, you stop seeing yourself as the absolute owner of your life, your talents, or your wealth. Instead, you realize you are simply holding these things in trust.
Oh, that shifts everything.
It really does. And psychologically, something powerful happens when you view yourself as a trustee. You become ashamed of betraying the trust.
Right.
Your moral compass is no longer driven by ego or looking good to your boss or, managing your personal brand. It's driven by the deep, quiet responsibility of managing something precious that doesn't actually belong to you.
The claims made about how this redefines character are pretty staggering.
They are.
It argues that strength no longer hardens you with arrogance because the strength isn't yours. It flows from a possessor of infinite power.
Exactly.
Instead of arrogance, you gain a quiet dignity. Compassion is no longer mistaken for weakness. And my absolute favorite concept here, reliability ceases to be a strategic move and becomes character itself.
Yes.
You live to be truthful, not just to appear righteous on a performance review.
And in an era where authenticity is often just a marketing tactic, stripping all that away to reveal true character is a radical act.
Definitely.
And it deeply impacts our relationship with our ambition. For a person who operates as a trustee, work fundamentally changes. Success is no longer an idol built to feed the ego.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
Because this runs completely counter to the hustle culture we are all swimming in.
It really does.
If I don't own my success and I know some higher power ultimately creates the results, why shouldn't I just do the bare minimum?
Right.
Why not just quiet quit? If someone else is controlling the outcome of the garden, why am I out here sweating in the dirt?
That is the natural cynical pushback,
Yeah.
but it misses the core dynamic of the trustee. The effort you put in remains absolutely genuine and sincere. You still study, you still build the company, you still create the art,
Okay.
you touch the causes, you plant the seed, and you water the dirt. But, and this is the liberating difference, you do not physically force the tomato to grow. You acknowledge that another power creates the results from the causes you put into motion.
So you are responsible for the effort, but not the ultimate harvest.
Precisely. Knowing you don't control the harvest doesn't stop you from watering the plant. Rather, it makes your heart calmer while you do it.
Wow.
The crushing, paralyzing weight of the ultimate outcome is lifted off your shoulders. The text beautifully describes this realization as a new breath for the exhausted soul of modern humanity.
A new breath for the exhausted soul.
Yeah.
I think anyone who has experienced severe burnout knows exactly what craving that breath feels like.
Oh, absolutely.
But let's get into the weeds here. It's easy to say don't carry the outcome when we're sitting here analyzing philosophy.
Right.
But when you're late for a meeting, your inbox has 100 unread messages, and you're just dealing with the sheer friction of a Tuesday. Wait, scratch that. When you're dealing with the friction of a Tuesday, how do you actually maintain this?
That is the ultimate challenge, and it's where this text brilliantly bridges ancient mysticism with our fast-paced reality.
Yeah.
Historically, classical Sufism had these profound spiritual paths aimed at piercing through the confusing, fragmented parts of the world to find absolute unity.
Right.
They used anchoring phrases like La mifkud ilha, there is no true existence but him, or La mishhud ilahu, there is none truly witnessed but him.
But those classical paths often involved retreating from the world to find that clarity. Right?
Yes.
They were moving beyond the veils of multiplicity. And modern life is nothing but multiplicity. We can't all just withdraw to a mountaintop.
No, and the author recognizes that.
Yeah.
For the fragmented, accelerated human being of our age, withdrawing is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So a new doorway is offered, a path of orientation that can be lived right in the middle of a chaotic Tuesday.
That sounds promising.
It provides a practical shift using 4 very specific internal anchors, and I want to look at how they function psychologically.
Let's hear them.
First, la maksudi ilahu. There is no ultimate aim but him. When you are panicking over a project, this asks, what is your real goal here? Is it ego glory or acting with integrity?
That's a good check.
Second, la matlub ilahu. There is none truly sought but him. What are you actually chasing beneath the surface of your ambitions?
Right.
Third, la mabubi ilahu. There is no ultimate beloved but him. What are you attaching your deepest self-worth to?
Wow.
And finally, la mabudi lahu. There is none worthy of worship but him. Are you bowing down to your career, your wealth, or the opinions of your peers?
Using those as psychological anchors is such a critical shift because it proves this isn't about escaping the marketplace.
Exactly.
This is a spirituality designed to be lived within the marketplace. It is lived within family life, within the pursuit of knowledge, within your profession. You are still dealing with the inbox and the commute.
Right. The essential matter here is the correction of direction, not escape.
Correction of direction. I like that.
You are still walking through the noisy world, but your internal compass has been recalibrated. You aren't rising spiritually by fleeing from your responsibilities. You are rising by executing them consciously as a bearer of trust.
So what does this all mean when the rubber meets the road?
Right.
When we combine all these pieces, anchoring ourselves in the vibrant now, leaping past horizontal transactions to find pure compassion, realizing our ego is a transparent window rather than a heavy wall, and correcting our internal compass in the middle of a busy life, how does this actually alter our footprint on the world?
It leads to a stunning behavioral conclusion. When your direction is corrected, love is finally released from that narrow, painful circle of possessiveness.
Yeah.
It expands into the vast horizon of compassion. And the ultimate shift is this. A person no longer strives merely to avoid wounding the specific people they love.
Okay.
They strive not to wound creation itself. Because when your ego is a clear mirror, you realize that upon every single thing rests the trace of the same source. Your heart acquires a subtler refinement, not just toward your family, but toward your colleague, toward nature, toward existence itself.
Striving not to wound creation itself. That is a towering standard, but man, what a way to reorient your existence.
It really is.
It completely shifts the metric of a successful day. We've covered a massive amount of ground today.
We have.
We started by rooting ourselves in the present moment, the only soil where growth actually happens. We look at how to drop the ledger of horizontal love and make the vertical leap to compassion, where our ego doesn't shatter because it demands nothing.
Right.
We figured out that our eye is just a window, and claiming the light as our own only burns us out. And finally, we learned how to take the ethics of the trustee directly into the chaos of the modern marketplace to find real relief from exhaustion.
It is a profoundly cohesive framework for living. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this is really just the foundational layer of understanding the human condition through these writings.
Yeah.
The final note in our source material actually gives us a glimpse of where this philosophy travels next. Our next deep dive will explore a deeply related essay titled The Two Travelers of the Desert, The Burden of Pride, The Power of Helplessness.
Oh, I'm already looking forward to untangling that one.
Me too.
But before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, building on that mirror analogy. Think about a moment of intense friction you are almost guaranteed to face later today.
Oh, there will be one.
Oh, for sure. It could be an argument, a passive-aggressive email, or just terrible traffic.
Yeah.
In that exact second when your heart rate spikes, ask yourself, what exactly is your mirror pointed at?
Yeah.
Are you tilting your ego downward, just absorbing and reflecting the chaos and the heavy demands of the room right back at everyone? Or can you find the inner strength to tilt your mirror upward, become transparent, and reflect something much lighter? Keep that in mind today. Catch you on the next deep dive.